Hey everybody, it's Dakota. Today I'm going to show you how to handstand in 10 simple steps. So as with any skill, before you master the hard skill, you need to master the basics. So we're going to start with step number 1 is a plank. So you need to master a plank. So coming into a plank, a lot of people don't understand that they're not really engaging the core. They're letting their belly button slouch. So what we want to do is come to a plank where our shoulders are right above the hands. We want to protract the shoulders and tuck in that tailbone. So that's the main thing. If you can hold this for 1 minute, congrats, you're well on your way to having enough strength for a handstand. Step number 2 is hollow body pose. So what you're going to do is bring 2 blocks. One block is going to come down to the bottom of your mat, like so. You're going to sit on your butt right here, put your heels on that block. The other block is going to come to your middle of your back. So once you get comfy here, it's right below the scapula. All we're going to do is let the chest drop a little bit, reach the hands over top, just like we were in a handstand, and lift the hips up. So what this pose does is it helps you learn the correct alignment of getting the hips in the between the hands and the feet. So once you're here, this will also tell you if your shoulders are too tight to be in this alignment for a nice pencil handstand. And once you get good at this, you can hold this for 20 seconds. You're well on your way to having good alignment for your handstand. Step number 3 is varasano pose with correct shoulder alignment. So what you're going to do is just sit on your feet like so. If it's comfortable for your feet, that is. And we're going to reach our hands. I like to grab blocks when I do this. We're going to reach our hands above our head, and we're going to see if this causes us to pull this shape right here. So if you're pulling this shape right here, it's one or two things. Either 1, your back is really tight, or 2, your shoulders are really tight, making your chest open up. So what we want to do is knit the front ribs together, round in a little bit like so. We don't want to round in, but you know what I mean. We want to tuck in to the front body to stay straight. And then we want to make sure our shoulders can come directly over top while we're rounded in, not pulling us up like so, causing us to lose our form in our front body. So once you feel comfortable with this, you'll be able to keep the front ribs knitted, bring the blocks out in front of you like so, and reach the shoulders all the way up without losing the composure of the front body. Step number 4 is hand exercises. So if your hands aren't strong enough for a handstand, you're not going to be handstanding anytime soon, I promise you. It's like your feet not being strong enough to walk on. Yeah, it's like counterintuitive. So when you come to your hands, we want to make sure usually the index fingers are pointing forward. And what the best hand exercises are for is just pulsating. So when we're on our hands, we're bouncing back and forth. We're trying to balance with our hands as long as, you know, our body is steady and firm. It's our hands what's controlling us. So what we want to do is we want to get good at pressing through the middle knuckles like so. Up and down, up and down. So these are great reps you can do slow, and once you get good and comfortable, you do fast. And if this is ever too hard, you just bring your hands closer to you where less weight is on your hands. And if they ever get easy, you start to walk them out, maybe even come into your plank, and it gets very hard. So that's your press, but also pulling back is super important. So when you pull back, you just pulsate it back like so. So you flex in, really deepening this wrist crease right here, pulling the hands up. And when you do this, a lot of students like to bend here, you know, because their wrist doesn't really have this flexibility. But no, you want to keep the elbows locked out like you would be in your handstand and pull the hands back, because that's how you're going to shoot your weight forward in your handstand. So get really good at that, and you can never do too much of these, I promise. For step number 5, we've got a good handstand entry. So there's 3 main handstand entries that I'm going to show you today that you can sort of play around with, starting from easiest to hardest. So the easiest being you come into a handstand with a little running start, you should call it. So I'm going to come about 10 inches away from the wall of my hands. I'm going to down dog. So most of us like to kick up with this right foot, you know, into a handstand like so. But, you know, sometimes you aren't able to kick right up and you're having a hard time getting this kick up. So what we're going to do is come into our down dog. We're going to lift up the opposite foot, the left foot, maybe find a big inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to get a running start by pulling this knee into the chest, step this foot down, and when my shoulders come above my hands, I use this momentum to kick up with the other foot. And I kick all the way up. So what that looks like in full blown, or full speed, inhale, reach the left foot up. Exhale, pull it in close, running foot, jump up. And with the other foot, it would be an inhale. Exhale, pull it close, running start, kick up. See how much momentum I had right there? It's super easy. So once you get good at that, obviously the second option is just a regular kick up. So you're kicking up from that scissor kick all the way up, both legs. You really want to just use the kick momentum to kick yourself up. It's pretty self-explanatory. That'll come, you know, sort of naturally to your body. Third one is the hardest. It's a bunny kick up. So it's a bunny hop to a tuck, like so. You come to the wall, gently tap your toes. So what you want to do is when you jump up, you really want to pull these heels into your butt and keep that extra little boost, that extra little kick. So you'll kick up, pull in tight, and you're in your tuck. You drop down, maybe you come up too hard, you hit the wall, it's okay, and you come up into your handstand tuck. So those are the 3 easiest entries. Play around with that, find your favorite, and you see the next step. For step number 6, we got a safe exit from the wall. So this is what many students mess up on. So you got your good kick up, you made your way up onto the wall. And again, we're about 10 inches away with our fingertips. What we want to do when we're first coming off a wall, we do not want to kick off. That's what everyone does, and it shoots you right back to the ground. What we want to do is bring one foot off steady and be really slow about this. Hip forward a little bit, get it to where your hips are right on top of you, and you feel the heel that's on the wall get very light. And once you do, make sure your gaze is comfortable. I like to gaze between my thumbs or the heels of my hands, and you give a little soft push with the fingers. Soft push, and then you're in your handstand. So right there, that's a safe exit off the wall. If you push too hard, it's okay. You push too hard, you came down because it was with your hands. So learn how to exit from the wall with your hands. Doesn't matter what variation you do. So if you're to do this with tuck, maybe you come a little bit closer. You're up there, you're in your handstand tuck. You gaze between your thumbs, push with the fingers, and you're off. Maybe push and pull. You use those hand exercises that we did in, I think, step number 3. And if you push too hard, it's okay. Come right back down. You're good. Step number 7 is one of my favorites because it gets you past the mental blocks of handstanding, and it's learning how to fall. So what you just did was, learn how to safely exit of the wall, but that's with your back facing the wall. But what you really need to do is learn how to get rid of that scare mentality or that edge mentality of you don't want to fall over the edge if you're not comfortable with falling from a handstand. So we're going to get rid of that with this little exercise. So we come up to an L shape. So to do this, I should add, you can come, your whole one leg distance away from the wall. But I find that people usually tend to go a lot closer to the wall and just kick their legs up. So if that looks like for you, it's just going to look like this, walking up your feet onto the wall. And again, you can come to that L shape if you want, but I just want to bring one leg over top. As long as your hips are above your shoulders, above your hands, you're good. So what I want to do is we're going to practice a cartwheel. So I'm going to gaze right ahead of my right hand and to the right, and I'm going to round this right foot down to the side. So if I were to kick off here and I went too far, I just round down and I cartwheel out. So you see my right leg just sort of wraps down and comes by my right hand. So as you do this, you notice, okay, I just stepped right there. Every time you aim to step a little bit further, and a little bit further. So what it looks like when you start doing your handstands and you're like, oh really, I messed up really bad, you kicked too far, you cartwheel all the way out. Even if you really mess up and your body's sort of, your weight's going so far with momentum, you can just round at the hips, sort of push with that left hand, and you end your cartwheel. So just like how you cartwheel at home, you can sort of cartwheel with one hand, same thing here. So I'm gonna watch me one more time. Right foot's coming over top. Watch my right hand get pulled off. You don't even need it. You push that left hand, you cartwheel out, you round, and you're good to go. So once you're comfortable with falling, you come to step number 8, which is just handstanding in the middle of the room. So now that you're comfy without the wall, you can sort of kick up into whatever variation that's working with you. I'm just gonna show you a tuck, to where you mess up and you can just fall over top and it's okay. So if I were to jump up in my tuck and I go a little bit too far, just step out, I round out. So that's your next step, is just to play with in the middle of the room, get past that edge mentality, or else you're always going to be favoriting, and you might notice that when you start hopping up, that when you come off the wall, you're always favoriting your chest side, because it's like that cat instinct, the reflexes. You don't want to go over top, so your body does anything and everything just to pull you back down to that front side. So I call that the edge mentality. This step is getting rid of that edge mentality in the middle of a room. For step number 9, we're making this full circle and we're coming back to our pencil handstand. So now that you know how to jump up and you know that you have your favorite entry, you have your favorite hold, now say if your favorite entry is a kick up to that scissor handstand, now we want to bring that scissor handstand into a pencil. So what that looks like, say your favorite kick up is just a regular scissor kick. If you're kicking up, you're like, okay, I'm starting to balance them now. You're holding here, you're getting comfortable. Now you start to bring them together. So you want to bring the hips right in between the hands, right in between the feet, tuck in the tailbone, and control your balance with your hands. So again, it's all about the push and pull, the pulsations. So even if you fall forward, you can push with the fingers. If you fall back, you can pull back with the hands. It's really hard to show you those small little intricate movements, but it's everything. Push and pull with the hands, make your way into your pencil pose, and don't, it's just like if we're coming into this pose in our hands, if we were to do this and, kind of fall this way, what do? I pull with my toes, I bounce back. If I were to pull it together and I'm leaning too much this way, I push with my toes, come back to the middle. It's just like bouncing with your feet. Same thing, right? All right, go ahead and try that. And for your final step, step number 10, is really just to always play around with new forms, new variations, new anything when it comes to handstand, new hand exercises, new alignment poses. Just keep trying because your handstand journey never really ends. So for instance, for me lately, it's been exploring new variations on the wall. So whether that's sort of a scissor leg takeoff, or a bow and arrow takeoff, or like a staggered leg takeoff, whatever it is, put your body in a new shape. And as you come off, as you try to balance that, your body just picks up these new little nuances, like this new little eustress and connection. What I really teach my handstand program, which is proprioception, which is knowing where your body's at in space. So keep coming to the wall, even though you can handstand off the wall, keep coming back and trying new variations, and then try those off the wall. It's just going to develop more and more, and you get that, I think it's called meta-knowledge, and then you'll be in good hands. Then you'll start making up your own poses, your own shapes, and start making those beautiful little shapes for Instagram, right? So I hope you enjoyed this short little tutorial. If you need more, if you want more, never hesitate to reach out to me. I would love to help you with your handstands. That's what I do. And if you really want a dissected, structural way to learn your handstand, feel free to reach out about the Handstand Academy course. It's a great program to build your first handstand and get that first handstand hold. So it's been good practicing with you today. Until next time, namaste.